Sunrise police are investigating one of their own after shocking body camera footage showed an altercation between a sergeant and another officer. NBC6 investigator Willard Shepard joins us with that video and what we know so far. Hey, Willard.
Well, there is an investigation underway here, and the chief, Anthony Rosa, taking action here to let the community know what's going on here, but also shows how some of this process that they have been doing to train officers to step in, even concerning with one of their own, if that becomes necessary. We want to show you this video here. I found out this morning this actually took place back in November when the officers here in Sunrise were taking a felon into custody and had that person into custody. There is a sergeant that is seen in the video that pulled out a can of pepper spray, never actually deployed it, but at that moment a second officer stepped in, taking that sergeant by the back of his belt and was moving him backwards when the video shows that that sergeant turned around and put his hands on the throat of the officer who had moved over into that situation. That sergeant has been removed from all of the supervisory capabilities that the sergeant has had here at the police department in Sunrise, and there's an internal affairs investigation underway. The police chief chose to release this video to us and to the public in terms of transparency. That's something the chief doesn't even actually have to do here because he's protected by the Florida law in not releasing it because an internal affairs investigation is underway. But the chief in his statement said that they wanted complete transparency with this. This investigation now moves forward. The chief also commended the officer who stepped in because that officer wanted to take action to de-escalate the situation and thought things were going to escalate. And police and law enforcement across the board have been saying, especially after George Floyd, officers have to step in when they see something that they think that they can prevent that's going wrong, even if it's another officer. And that's what the chief believes was taking place here. Of course, the investigation will continue and move forward. We'll have much more throughout the course of the day on this situation here in Sunrise. In Sunrise, Willard Shepard, NBC6 News.
Sunrise.
All right. Before I get started with the story, let me give a shout out to Jason on Patreon for sending it to me. And like you heard in the audio, this is coming out of Florida. Here we are in Florida again. I swear, Florida stays in the news for some BS. So this one right here actually takes an interesting turn. Now, we all know and heard of the term infighting, but it's usually done behind closed doors where it cannot be seen. But this one is actually shown on video where you have it right here. This is actually an image from the body cam from another cop where you have this one cop right here. Now, they didn't release the names. Even when I was looking at the article that Jason sent me, they didn't. I was looking through and it doesn't have the person's name. It just says that this was a police sergeant. And I'm looking through trying to see if I can find a name, but there's no name attached to this individual, this guy doing the choking or the woman he's choking. So basically the context that I'm getting from this is that there was a situation that they had to be called on, and the sergeant that was being aggressive with her was overstepping his boundaries and with the situation at hand, and she decided to step in and de-escalate it. And because he got upset that she was trying to stop him from doing what he wanted to do, he turned around and got mad at her and then took his frustration and anger out on her and put his hands on her throat. Now, of course, you can see there's definitely a difference in build. And of course, he's a guy and she's a woman. And whatever force he comes at her with is going to be intense. I mean, look at how red his face is. That guy has a lot of rage on his face. He said, it's bad enough I got to come out here and deal with this BS than to have you come up behind me and interfere with what it is I'm trying to do. So then he took it out on her and put his hands on her. Now, like they said in the audio, they said he's been relieved of his duties as it says of his supervisory responsibilities, and that he is currently under investigation, which is probably an internal investigation because we all know they like to investigate themselves. And I was looking at some of the comments and someone made a good point. They said, why didn't the other cop step in when this guy was clearly choking out his partner or whoever she might be to him? It's because they're on code. Yes, they are on code, even in those departments. I mean, that's probably where their code is at its highest. And then this guy has a superiority over them. So they're like, wow, she was bold enough to do it. And they weren't going to do anything because when they saw what he was doing to her, they probably got scared he was going to do the same thing to them. And then because he has a superior position, they probably thought something was going to happen to them as well. Now, here's the thing. I wonder if she'll get a bump, like an increase or a promotion because of this. I wonder if that's what's going to happen. Now, another question I have is, if this guy is going to do this to his own partner, what was he doing to whoever they were going after? Or what was he doing prior to this to other, like, say, perps? That's when you need to do another investigation further into his, I guess you can say, his lack of skills when it comes to policing. Because I guarantee you, if he puts his hands on her, he's definitely done this to other people. And I see that he has a ring on his finger, which indicates that he is indeed married. I wonder if he puts his hands on his wife like that. I wonder if he has any kids and he's abusive. Because like I said, he did this to his partner. Someone he only has a connection to through work. Makes you wonder how he is at home. So they need to really take all of that into account. They're going to have to go and talk to his wife and ask her, grill her and ask her, has he ever put his hands on you? It doesn't even have to be a choke. Could he have grabbed you by the arm? Could he have maybe pushed you? Could he have slapped you? Like has he ever abused you in any way? Because if he does this to a coworker, someone who he's not married to, he'll do this to anybody. This is right here an abuse of power. He was so upset with her because she interfered and stepped in and told him he was going overboard. And he got that mad and that irate that he had to choke her. But like I said, what gets me is that you had all the other cops standing around and let this man put his hands on her neck and wasn't going to do nothing. What if there was no body cam footage? We would never know this happened. But I'm wondering what else is going to come of this, because I'm looking at the article that Jason sent me. He said the sergeant engaged in a verbal altercation with the suspect sitting inside a patrol vehicle and escalated the encounter. So he escalated it, not the person inside of the car. He escalated and took it to the next level, which is why she stepped in and was like, look, you need to chill. You need to calm down. And that's the thing about a lot of these cops. A lot of them are some hotheads. They are. They go overboard because they think because they have a badge, a gun, a taser, and wear the uniform that they are above the law. Many of them are like that. And sometimes that stems from maybe some kind of childhood trauma they went through. Maybe they got bullied as kids and they're taking it out on other people that had nothing to do with their childhood, or they saw their childhood bully in the perp, and that's why they feel like they got to take it out on them. And in that moment, when he was blacking out in that verbal altercation with the person that was in the car, he felt that she was a threat in the sense of, you are stopping me from doing what it is that I want to do, not what I am supposed to do, but what I want to do. In that moment, she was holding him back from being the Billy Badass that he wants to be or has always been. And that's when he felt like he had to semi-neutralize the situation. But like I said, this is a rare occurrence that we actually see this on camera, because something like this, this would be hearsay, only behind closed doors. And furthermore, speaking of closed doors, they need to see how he is when he's in the precinct or in the, like, inside of the building. Like, how is he there? Like, they need to do a complete and thorough investigation of this dude, because clearly he is off his hinges. He's off the chain. And you can tell by looking at this picture how mad he is. Like, look at how red his face is. He is mad. He is pissed at her. He's probably pissed at the situation, but he's probably even more mad at her because she stopped him from she basically had to put him in check, and he didn't want to be checked, even though he needed to be checked. But this typically goes on more than a lot of people see it or have heard. But this is just the first time that we're seeing this play out in real time. At least to me, because I've never seen this happen before. Usually it's always the person that they're going after, but in this case, here we are. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments.